Hello and happy Tuesday. I am so excited that you are joining us today to learn about the mental cheat code. For those that have been joining in for a while, I just appreciate you subscribing, tuning in, listening, and really hope that you are learning from some of our cheat codes and just really getting inspired by the stories that have been shared so far. This has just been a wonderful experience, and I'm so excited to continue to share the highs and lows of X's and O's with you. Today, we are diving into Fozzy Whittaker's mental cheat code. If you have not listened to his episode yet, please go back and listen to it. It is a humbled story around just resiliency and growth and just the connection and the impact that he has with other people and how he's inspiring that into his family and the sport of football and his entrepreneurship, like the community. There's just so many wonderful mental nuggets for you that you definitely want to tune into that. But today we are diving into the mental cheat code of controlling your inner ape.
I go back to my days whenever I played with the Carolina Panthers, and Ron Rivera was my head coach there. And he talked about 3 things that you can control every single day in every single aspect of your life. And it reflects very closely with what my mom taught me, and that's controlling your inner ape. And APE is acronym for your attitude, your preparation, and your effort.
When we look at sports, physical talent can only take you so far. And that's no different for any of our executives or coaches or anyone that's listening. Sport is just the kind of catalyst that we're using to discuss these high performance domains. And what I want us to look at, what truly sets elite performers is their ability to harness the power of their mind. This is exactly where Fozzy's mental cheat code, controlling your inner ape, comes from. The attitude, the preparation and effort, it becomes a game changer for the mental cheat code. These 3 components are essential for optimizing your performance, and they're really significant. It goes beyond the surface of just kind of having a good attitude and, showing up and putting in the effort. There's real things that I want to break down for you in these pillars of talking about what does that actually mean? Why is this important? And then give you like a tip on how can I do that? Because I'm always about giving you a little bit of an edge when you're tuning in and listening and saying, how can I start applying these things? And so we're going to begin to control and work on your own inner ape and focusing that on your mental cheat code and adding that to your performance playbook. And when we start with looking at attitude, kind of the mindset matters mantra, your attitude is an essential component of your mindset. It's the foundation of how you interpret and respond to every situation. And having a positive, growth-oriented mindset really fosters resiliency. It allows you to view challenges and opportunities to learn and grow. Conversely, when we have a negative attitude going into any of our training, our performance, meetings, tests, anything that we're doing that is a performance domain, when we have a negative attitude, it can create this self-imposed limitations, leading to fear of failure, doubt, hesitation to begin. We start getting the what ifs, and it really then leads into our mood. And we can understand the cyclical cycle of like having these negative viewpoints going into it and just kind of having the negative thoughts creep in and holding on to that and then feeling the negative emotion. Our body can get tense and rigid and not perform the best that we want to. And we just feel kind of ugh. On the flip side, when we look at this positive oriented mindset, I'm not saying that we're going to have to be like happy and jumping up and down and like, loving life and it's rainbows and butterflies. Like, I'm just saying, be curious and have the option to allow yourself to believe in your ability to succeed. The attitude determines how you're going to approach your training, how you handle your mistakes. We've learned in Fozzy's episode about failure or like losses are like lessons learned. And I think when we approach mistakes through this lens, you're much more motivated and determined to persevere and overcome the lows that you experience and then ultimately lead to those highs. And that's what this is all about, of the highs and lows of sport and performance. In moments of pressure, having this strong attitude enables you to remain calm, focused, confident, creative. You have a sense that it just feels easier to persevere and allows you to push through any of the fatigue, the setbacks, the adversity while you're working through things. When it is a hard task, when it is a hard opponent, having the option to be curious and open and positive, and have the intention in your mind that you're going to tackle this. It allows you to set the stage for success. And firsthand, I know this. I am an emotional led human. That's probably why I do my job, is I can feel everyone's feelings as a natural empath. But in my own training cycles, and my trainer will tell you, when I show up in a space that is not the attitude that will allow me to be successful, when I allow my emotions to get the best of me, when I see the training cycle and I look ahead at what I'm doing and I'm just like, oh, that is going to be really hard. Like, I hate burpees and I don't want to do them. That is not going to allow me to engage in that task and perform well. Like, I'm already setting myself up for failure, looking at this being like, no, this is awful. This is going to be terrible. I don't know if I can do it. And I'm allowing those fears and the negative thoughts and the disdain sometimes for the workout to get the best of me. And I need to flip that. So then I have to find a way to reset my mind and allow myself to be like, no, like, this will help me. This will allow me to push through it, allow me to see my physical limitations, allow me to see myself getting stronger. And even just those thoughts and shift in my attitude with the opportunity and option to get better and wanting to see myself succeed immediately allows me to perform better. It just does. And so the tip for you on how we can first control our inner A, focus on the A of attitude. I want you to start each day with a focus on what you can control. You can only control yourself. I don't care how hot it is or cold if you're in a cold environment. But here in Texas, it's like 106 degrees right now. But it doesn't matter. I don't care what the refs are doing or anyone else or who's coming up behind you or in front of you. Like, it is what you can control, because that is, in essence, the only thing that we have. And so I want you to focus on, like, what do I have to do today? What can I be in control of? And then set that intention to say, okay, like, I'm going to go do this. And then practicing gratitude in that framework of, I'm grateful that I get to move my body. I'm grateful to engage with my teammates and be a part of this team. I'm grateful for the opportunity to see how I can push myself. And that self-talk will empower you, and it will begin to eliminate and discourage the negative thoughts. Now, those that are listening and tuning in, if you are not a believer and buy-in of mantras or self-talk or the power of gratitude, just keep listening to me, because I'm going to keep reinforcing this, and you're going to see that all these athletes also reinforce those thoughts. The trends are the same. Their mental cheat codes might vary in semantics, but they are the same thing, and they know that because it's true, or they know that from reflecting and saying, man, if I had only done this, if I'd only shifted my attitude and really was intentional about how I was going to show up, could I have been a little bit better? Could it have been a little bit easier? Would I have succeeded it sooner? And then what limits could I have pushed beyond that? So focus on that aspect of the attitude mindset. Now let's go into the P, preparation. We've already heard about preparation if you've tuned into our very first episode with Alex Okafor. He talks about preparation being so essential for him. And with this inner ape aspect and the P, we're going to look at it from preparation as setting your stage of success. Preparation is where the battle is won long before you even step onto the field, the court, the track, the boardroom. It's your learning phase to allow you to then go in and just do what you do. So preparation is kind of our essential aspect. It's like, how do we show up to practice? How are we showing up in our learning, environments? How are we setting our body and our mind and allowing it to physically do the things that we're asking it to? It's about creating the routines, refining your skills, and mentally rehearsing your performance. All of those three things are happening prior to an actual performance. Effective preparation doesn't just build the skills, it's building your confidence. And we know that confidence is kind of one big component in the ability to perform on a consistent basis. Is you have to believe you can do it. You have to have the confidence to go out and try things and take risks. And I'm saying, hey, like, in order for you to get more confident, we actually just have to prepare, and we have to prepare well and effectively. So when you know you've done the work, you trust yourself to execute the skills. You trust yourself to handle the pressure because you've been doing it. And that's why we say, like, practice how you want to perform. And sometimes we want to practice even better and harder and go after it in this competitive zone. And you might have to find your own motivation to do that. Sometimes you're going to have an easier practice, or sometimes you're going to be in a little funk and you're going to be tired. It's going to be really hard. And that's when you're pulling that attitude back in. And then we're going back into the preparation. And so how we do this and why it is essential is proper preparation is essential for consistency. It eliminates our doubts. It takes away the what ifs. It allows you to rely on the muscle memory and instincts during your competition. It's kind of when we can lead into that flow state that everyone's chasing after. Think about it this way. When you're driving to the grocery store over and over again, you know how to get there. I'm sure if anyone that's driven before, sometimes they'll get to a grocery store and like, I don't even remember paying attention. Like, I don't know what stoplights I went through. I was just like in a zone, in autopilot. It's because your brain knows how to work through that. And you've done it so many times, the route's ingrained in your mind. Well, this is the same way with our physical preparation that we're working through, or if you've memorized a speech before, like sometimes in these high pressure situations, we kind of like black out, forget what we're doing, but our mind and body knows because we prepared it so well. And anyone who's experienced a flow state is like, man, everything slowed down. It felt easy. I wasn't thinking. I just did it. And that's because you prepared your mind. You prepared your body. You had created the learning phase and domains, and then allowed yourself to perform when it was time to perform without actually having to think. And we're less reactive. And this is where it's so essential to really look at your preparation phases and say, am I doing it the right way? Could I do it a little bit differently? So instead of you focusing on executing what you've practiced, this sense of readiness and preparation enables you to perform at your peak, even in unpredictable situations. So when things happen that you're not prepared for, or something, someone calls a different play that you didn't know, like you can respond because you yourself have allowed yourself to be in that space, in that zone. So I really want you to think through, like, what are my preparation phases right now? What are my routines in order to allow myself to mentally engage, allow myself to be curious, to learn, physically work through things and do the routine things that I need to do, that prehab, rehab, how are you recovering your body in the state to make sure that it is able to do the task that you need it to do the next day? Mentally, how are you engaging and thinking through the plays, the strategies, what the performance is going to look like? You're doing all of that ahead of time. And find your zone of where you like to visualize and think through stuff. Some of you might like to prepare a speech or a conversation in your head when you're in the shower. Some of you might do that while you're driving. Before you go to sleep at night, maybe you're visualizing the plays in your head and how you want to perform and working through that. So my tip to you in this part of the preparation phase, the mental cheat code, break down your goals into daily actions. Trust the process. We hear that all the time, but high performers, those with this high achieving mindset, really are always searching and chasing after that success and the outcome. And it is so hard to trust the process and the preparation and knowing that what they're doing is actually going to show up when it needs to in the performance domain. But you have to trust the process and prepare with intention, knowing that your preparation will guide you through your toughest moments and the lowest of lows, and you will see the highs in this domain. Now, going into our last thing, we're going to look at E, effort, for controlling our inner ape. And how I like to view this is the fuel to your fire. Effort is the fuel that drives progress. It's not just about working hard, but working smart with intentionality. So it's building off of that preparation phase. It's building off of the attitude. But now we're putting in this fuel, this energy, the fire, right? How hot do we need that fire to burn to allow us to perform our best? While our natural ability is a great starting point, effort determines how far you're actually going to go, right? And you might have had someone on your team, or you might be this person where you're like, man, I have all the natural ability in the world, but I'm not performing, or they're not performing. It's kind of like wasted talent. And then you have people who maybe didn't have the natural physical attributes, but they're so good. And you're like, man, you're phenomenal. How are you doing that? Physically, it doesn't make sense. On paper, it doesn't make sense, but they're just amazing. Well, this is that component of bringing in the effort and the attitude and the preparation. And in a couple episodes, I will not get to it too far, but they share this as well, this theory, and they're going to say the same thing, that there is a mental component that is just the game changer to allow you to perform. It's not always about the physical attributes, because we can have someone who's phenomenal physically and just doesn't make it. And then we have people who just learn how to work and work efficiently and have the desire and the fuel to be great. And this is where this part of the controlling your inner ape really comes through. So our effort will determine how far we can go. It's what pushes us beyond your comfort zone. Next week's guest, you're going to hear a lot about pushing beyond the comfort zone. And that's kind of a little sneak peek for their mental cheat code coming up of how can I push beyond what I thought was my limits. It allows you to break through your plateaus and achieve new levels of performance. So any of our athletes have probably experienced a plateau at some point, and it just kind of stinks. You're starting to fear that you're going to slip down into this negative cycle, and it's really hard to continue to show up and keep trusting the process and keep putting in the effort because you don't feel like you're getting better. And I'm saying, hey, this is actually when you need to push through and stay true to what you're doing and have the effort and the push of being 1% better every day to see the gains that you're going to have. Why is this important? Well, effort is directly linked to our growth and our improvement. It's one of the aspects of your performance that you have complete control over. It's not about the task difficulty. It's not about luck or external variables. It's literally in your control of how hard will I work and push myself, regardless of your talent or the circumstances or competition. Like, this is you. And my thing is like kind of looking in the mirror at the end of the day. Can I look in the mirror at the end of the day and say, like, I did whatever it took to be successful, or I did what it took and was intentional, and I can be okay with that. There's no what ifs. I can stare myself in the eyes and say, yes, I did enough today, and I'm proud of that. These are the questions I challenge you to ask yourself, when you're really getting through it. And I kind of say do it at nighttime in the bedtime routine, because you look in the mirror, brush your teeth, and you're like, man, like, I got to stare myself in the eye. And can I say, like, yeah, I did what I said I was going to do today. You're in complete control over this. So by consistently giving your best effort, you will build habits of excellence, resilience, and determination. And this is where we see, like, those are fuels to bring in the grittiness and the mental toughness that we all hear about and the catchy phrases of the mental performance domains. Effort is also very contagious. Your teammates, your coaches, other opponents are going to sense the energy that you are bringing, and you can elevate the entire environment. And this is exactly what Fozzy talks about when he says iron sharpens iron. Like, make other people around you better. Choose to be around other people and learn from people that are better than you are, and elevate your own game. The one thing that I love to talk about is the ripple approach. And so when I'm a part of a team, or if I'm part of an environment, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to pick 2 people I can touch. I can physically put my hands on their shoulders and be like, I'm going to elevate these 2 people. And my intention is to make them better and push them. And if I can impact 2 people and then they impact 2 other people, well, guess what? We're going to have a wave of emotion and energy and contagiousness, and the team will skyrocket into hopeful, successful, amazing outcomes. But at least we'll all be on the same page. And so this is a beautiful part, that like the energy that you're showing up with, the intentionality that you're working through, the preparation you've done, you can begin to see why that effort will allow the momentum to push you into successful opportunities. So my tip for you, embrace the grind. Like, yeah, I got to listen to it myself. Like, there are hard workouts, there are hard days. The things that we're choosing to push our body to do is hard. Where you're at in business rooms and domains and board meetings and executives, and yeah, like, those are scary things. Like, you are risking livelihoods. Like, sometimes this is your job and your career and you're making money. Like, it's hard work and it's exhausting. And we have to recognize the consistent effort, even when it's uncomfortable, because that's what sets champions apart, is those that choose to show up every day and choose to be great. The choice is theirs, and they're choosing on the lowest of lows to be great and consistent, because they know ultimately it will reach the goal that they want to have, and then they experience the highs in the sport. So let's put it all together. Fozzy Whittaker's mental cheat code, controlling your inner ape. When attitude, preparation, and effort are aligned, they create a powerful synergy that enhances one's overall performance. A positive attitude motivates you to prepare diligently, and then through preparation builds the confidence that you need to motivate yourself, to prepare and execute and put in your maximum efforts. And we can see how this synergy exists, that through this like positive effort and continuous preparation, now we have confidence and now we have the better attitude, and it's like reinforcing us, and the cycle propels you toward continuous improvement and peak performance. And so they all work together. They're all linked through that process. And you get to choose how you're going to set the day. Like we can't just show up and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. It's how am I going to do it? And what energy do I need to bring into doing that? So mastering your inner ape is the key to unlocking your full athletic potential. Attitude, preparation, and effort are not isolated traits. They are interconnected pillars that support and strengthen each other. By focusing on these areas, you can optimize the mental game, which in turn will elevate that physical peak performance that you need to have on the field and the courts. And just remember, the difference between good and great isn't just in your abilities. It really is how you control your mind. So thank you for listening. I hope these tips you can start beginning to add into your daily routines and just add another mental cheat code to your performance playbook.